Economics has made us partners, and necessity has made us allies. Those whom nature has so joined together, let no man put asunder. What unites us is far greater than what divides us. The issues and irritants that inevitably affect all neighbors are small indeed in comparison with the issues that we face together. Above all, the somber threat now posed to the whole neighborhood of this continent, in fact to the whole community of nations. But our alliance is born not of fear, but of hope. It is an alliance that advances what we are for, as well as opposes what we are against. And so it is that when we speak of our common attitudes and relationships, Canada and the United States speak in 1961 in terms of unity. We do not seek the unanimity that comes to those who water down all issues to the lowest common denominator, or to those who conceal their differences behind fixed smiles, or to those who measure unity by standards of popularity and affection instead of trust and respect. We are allies. This is a partnership, not an empire. We are bound and all undertakings. For it is clear that no free nation can stand alone to meet the threat of those who make themselves our adversaries. That no free nation can retain any illusions about the nature of the threat, and that no free nation can remain indifferent to the steady erosion of freedom around the globe. It is equally clear that no Western nation on its own can help those less developed lands to fulfill their hopes for steady progress. And finally, it is clear that in an age where new forces are asserting their strength around the globe, when the political shape of the hemispheres are changing rapidly, nothing is more vital than the unity of the United States and of Canada. And so, my friends of Canada, whatever problems may exist or arise between us, I can assure you that my associates and I will be ever ready to discuss them with you and to take whatever steps we can to remove them. And whatever those problems may be, I can also assure you that they shrink in comparison with the great and awesome tasks that await us as free and peace-loving nations. So let us fix our attention not on those matters that vex us as neighbors, but on the issues that face us as leaders. Let us look southward as part of the hemisphere with whose fate we are both inextricably bound. Let us look eastward as part of the North Atlantic community upon whose strength and will so many depend. Let us look westward to Japan, to the newly emerging lands of Asia and Africa and the Middle East, where lie the people upon whose fate and choice the struggle for freedom may ultimately depend. And let us look at the world in which we live and hope to go on living, and at the way of life for which Canadians, and I was reminded again of this morning on my visit to your war memorial, and Americans alike, have always been willing to give up their lives in nearly every generation, if necessary, to defend and preserve freedom. First, if you will, your talents and resources as well as ours. To be sure, it would mean an added responsibility. But yours is not a nation that shrinks from responsibility. The hemisphere is a family into which we were born, and we cannot turn our backs on it in time of trouble. Nor can we stand aside from its great adventure of development. I believe that all of the free members of the Organization of American States would be heartened and strengthened by any increase in your hemispheric role, your skills, your resources, your judicious perception at the council table, even when it differs from our own view, are all needed throughout the inter-American community. Your country and mine are partners in North American affairs. Can we not now become partners in inter-American affairs. Secondly, if this should be desired and found feasible by our allies, once NATO's non-nuclear goals have been achieved. Both of these measures, improved conventional forces and increased nuclear forces, are put forward in recognition of the fact that the defense of Europe will maintain our own freedom. Third, let us turn to the less developed nations in the southern half of the globe, those who struggle to escape the bonds of mass misery, which appeals to our hearts as well as to our hopes. Both your nation and mine have recognized our responsibilities to these new nations. Our people have given generously, if not always effectively. We could not do less, and now we must do more. For our historic task, villages of communist China. If we can work closely together to make our food surpluses a blessing instead of a curse, no man, woman, or child need go hungry. And if each of the more fortunate nations can bear its fair share of the effort to help the less fortunate, not merely those with whom we have traditional ties, but all who are willing and able to achieve meaningful growth and dignity, then this decade will surely be a turning point in the history of the human family. Finally, let me say just a few words about the world in which we live. We should not misjudge the force of the challenge that we face. A force that is powerful as well as insidious, that inspires dedication as well as fear, that uses means we cannot adopt to achieve ends we cannot permit. Nor can we mistake the nature of the struggle. It is not for concessions or territory. It is not simply between different systems. It is an age-old battle for the survival of liberty itself. And our great advantage, and we must never forget it, is that the irresistible tide that began 500 years before the birth of Christ in ancient Greece is for freedom and against tyranny. And that is the wave of the future. And the iron hand of totalitarianism can ultimately neither seize it nor turn it back. In the words of Macaulay, a single breaker may recede, but the tide is coming in. So we move forward towards a world of law and a world of disarmament. At the conference table and in the minds of men, the free world's cause is strengthened because it is just. But it is strengthened even more by the dedicated efforts of free men and free nations. As the great parliamentarian Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And that, in essence, is why I'm here today. This trip is more than a consultation, more than a goodwill visit. It is an act of faith, faith in your country, in your leaders, faith in the capacity of two great neighbors to meet their common problems, and faith in the cause of freedom in which we are so intimately associated.